Hello and welcome to today's Nairobi News Bulletin. My name is Modani Mushiri. A warrant of arrest has been issued for a top police officer in a station where a woman is said to have been raped inside a holding cell. Tigania resident magistrate Paul Wechuli issued the warrant against Mulika OCS Simon Raziki and Constable Hirbo Siko after they defied summons issued against them on Tuesday. Constable Siko is the investigating officer in a case where the woman is accused of malicious damage. The two officers were summoned over the rape claims and failure to present police cash bail in court. Chief Justice applicant Professor Makau Mutua was hard-pressed to explain a tweet from 2013 where he vowed never to recognize Uhuru Kenyatta as president. Professor Mutua was taken to task by Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai and momentarily skirted around the answer before declaring, and I quote, "If I'm appointed as a Chief Justice, I won't have a problem working with President Uhuru Kenyatta," end of quote.
I'm going to go back to that very tweet of yours.
Yes.
That you said that you're not going to recognize Uhuru Kenyatta as president. If you become Chief Justice,
yes,
is that a recipe for chaos? Because you're putting somebody who is the head of one arm of government to work, because you rightfully said that there'll be collaboration, even though the judiciary is independent.
Yes.
Are we going to create chaos? Because there's this person who has no confidence in somebody else who's the head of another arm of government. So the perception has been, how are these two going to work together?
Yes. Yes. I think, first of all, if you look at my life history, I have never created chaos. So this would be the first time that I would create chaos, if that was to happen. But I am a responsible professional. I have been a distinguished academic for many years. I was a dean of a law school for 7 years. I worked with very senior officials in that capacity. I have complete fidelity to the law. I would say that if you look at the story of the Constitution, and you and I were there in the very early days, when no one believed that we could have a new constitution. If you look at my life story, that is my life story, fighting for those values. It does not mean, Commissioner Gushu, that I don't dissent and that I don't express divergent views about particular issues. As I said, even in families, there are often some quite serious disagreements do take place. In a democracy, this is what is expected. I have said often that my making that statement was not personal to Mr. Kenyatta. It was not personal. In fact, I think he's a wonderful guy. He's a very likable man, very personable. It was just about the circumstances of how he came to power at the time. And I was simply expressing myself at the time as a citizen. And I hope that citizens can have the freedom to say those things, because there is nothing that is more important than the conscience of a citizen. Someone was asking me a similar question. He said, you write a lot of columns and you express views about public figures and so on. That's very important for our democracy, that I'm able to speak like that. We fought for that right to speak like that. So why should we shrink from it? And the same freedom that the judges now have to rule without getting a phone call is the same freedom that I think with a conscience I can say to myself, I can make that statement, knowing that I'll be safe because I live in a democracy. But it does not mean that I would not work with the president. It does not mean that at all. Yeah, it does not mean that at all.
It's good to get that assurance.
Yes.
Wednesday has been declared a public holiday in Narok County, where former Cabinet Minister William Ole Ntimama was laid to rest. The County Secretary, Mr. Lenku Seki, issued a statement to the press stating that the day will be a public holiday in honor of the late Ntimama. And the family of the late Bernard Odhiambo, who died while awaiting treatment at the Bangadi District Hospital on Tuesday, narrated their ordeal during the State House Health Summit and were assured of a Friday hearing by the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Board Chairman.
I talked to the nurse who was inside. Okay, the nurse told me that they don't admit such over weekends. So she was trying to tell me to come back during weekdays. But I told her, no, this is a critical case, please just help me. Then she said, okay, then you can go ahead, bring your cousin in, your patient in, we see what to do. So I took a wheelchair because he wasn't walking, went back to the taxi. The taxi driver assisted me to assist Ben, you know. Yes, exactly. Then from there, we went. Now, unfortunately, from this time, we are talking of now 12:03. My patient is already in a bed. Up until 12:53, when I kept insisting with them, please, kindly, is someone looking on my patient? Please. 12:03 through to 12:53, only for my in-law to come to the room I was standing. And by then, they were both seated. You know, we are talking of this medical doctor and the nurse both seated. End result, my cousin passed on. 53 minutes later, not having been touched.
I'm aware of that case. It's unfortunate, but the regulations with the Medical Practitioners and Dentist Board do not allow us to discuss an ongoing case. This case is on for interview on Friday at, I think, 11 o'clock. And with the new regulation, which the CS has gazetted, immediately after the determination, we shall make our findings public.
All right. And finally, the latest additions to the Oxford English Dictionary have been announced, with 1,200 new words and 1,000 revised entries making the cut. Some of the latest entrants include gender fluid, meaning relating to a person expressing a fluid or unfixed gender identity; YOLO, an abbreviation for you only live once; and America, a sarcastic term used to describe things and events that fit the American stereotype. And that's it for us for now. For these and more stories, log on to www.nairobinews.co.ke. I'm Modoni Mushiri. Goodbye.